Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's the post-lunch session when everybody is either not here or those who are here are feeling a little ethnically challenged. So I'm just going to ask a quick question for the panel, well, for the participants here, just to get an idea of the mix that I'm presenting to Kyle tailor as I go along to that mix. How many persons here are in business? Can I say a show of hands, or can you stand and work out some of that post-lunch? 1, 2 persons here in business? 1, just 1? Okay, all right, I'll cut most of the presentation then if that's the case. Persons here in government? Okay, so it's mostly a government-based panel or audience. I'll just jump into the presentation then. Essentially, the topic I'm presenting on is creative approaches to MSME financing. That's creative approaches to the financing of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in Jamaica. And this is essentially a discussion about some of the objectives, challenges, and opportunities for expanding the financing to that sector from the perspective of the Development Bank of Jamaica. What I've done here also is just presented just some slides showing the performance of our loans over the last couple of years. And I suppose you could link that to productivity. There's a rise there. Right. So this is essentially showing the performance of our loans over the last couple of years. And in particular, micro, small, and medium-sized loans. We did 1.3 billion last year. And our target for this year is 2 billion. As of now, we're at 1.3 for half of the year. So I'm assuming that we're a little bit more productive than we were last year. A little bit about the Development Bank of Jamaica. We are clearly a government-owned institution. We've aligned our strategy to Vision 2030 to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. DBJ's role within that Vision 2030 is really to facilitate internationally competitive businesses. So that's what we've aligned our strategy to. Our mission in that regard is to facilitate and promote economic growth, national development, and an enabling economic environment. And we do this by providing businesses as well as government with appropriate financing, privatization, and public-private partnership, as well as technical support solutions. The structure of the DBJ, essentially we have 3 operating divisions that interact with the public. Loan origination and portfolio management provides loans to generate investment and new jobs. We have capacity development, which does all our technical assistance programs, which I'll tell you a little bit about. Privatization and public partnerships, not to be left out, is a significant plank of the government's growth agenda to free up government assets, put them in private hands, where typically we find that they're more productive in that regard. In all of this, we're underpinned by a sound enterprise risk management strategy with research and strategic planning. One of the things I'm going to be talking about is credit scoring for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses and how that helps them access financing. And in that regard, I just point out that the DBJ itself, a few years ago, got rated, enlisted with CARICRIS for our rating, and we've been maintaining our CARI BBB regional rating and BBB plus Jamaican rating on the national scale, JMAA. So that's something that we're using to indicate to small and medium-sized businesses that credit scoring, credit rating is a useful tool in accessing financing. All right, this is a very busy slide. It really just gives a shot of all the different things that the bank is doing. to generate economic growth or to facilitate economic growth. Our MSME capacity building activities in the blue at the top. Microfinance industry development, we're working with the microfinance industry. We've done 1.8 billion in funding through that industry in the last 3 years. Concessionary and flexible loan financing, we channel also through our network of approved financial institutions to small and medium-sized businesses as well as larger projects. We provide credit guarantees through our Credit Enhancement Fund to assist businesses access financing. And I have a slide on that, so I'll touch on that in a bit. The venture capital program, as Profi mentioned, is a significant plank as well, where we're building a capacity of the industry to put an ecosystem in place where persons in the small and medium-sized sector will be able to access venture capital funding. So that's our third plan in our funding. Mobile money, I also will touch on that very briefly, is a new innovation. We're talking about creativity and innovation. Jamaica has one of the highest penetration rates for mobile use. Everybody has a cell phone. We have more cell phones than persons, typically. But how are we using that in business? Can we be more productive? So that's something that we need to look at. PPPs, I ran through that, and privatization. Energy is another significant area. We've been working with the Jamaica Productivity Center as well as several other partners, putting together energy conservation, energy efficiency, and renewable energy programs. The ICT industry is a high job creating industry, and that's one of our targets as well. So we've been working with ICT, or the business process outsourcing industry, to put capacity in place, and certainly to facilitate research development. DBJ's role in MSME financing. In 2009, we took a look at the needs of the industry and the channels through which funding is accessed. And there are a number of things we found. That intermediaries, the banks, etc., had a low appetite and the capacity to assess and monitor MSME loans. And we've done several initiatives over that period to improve this. The readiness of MSMEs is a major challenge, which prevents them accessing financing and therefore prevents them taking advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. That again undermines the potential of your business. Unless you're able to access financing when you need it, and you've put yourself in a position by your record keeping, your availability of records, your ability to put together your business documents, certainly as the Jamaica Productivity Center does, unless you're able to make your business more productive, look at your inventory management, all of these things, that will impact your readiness for funding. MSMEs tend to be high risk. There's a high failure rate in terms of newer businesses as well as existing. It's a lot more challenging than running a larger business. Some of the challenges that they have is limited collateral, where the banks are still in the mode of, give me your title to your land and building, I don't want your equipment, I don't want your receivables. However, a lot of smaller businesses don't have as much tangible collateral. You're really in business, it's you're turning over, and that is your available collateral. Relatively high transaction and administration costs within the business, but also within the financial institutions for processing these transactions. So when you go to the bank for a loan, it takes them just as much or more effort to process a smaller loan that doesn't have the records in place as against a massive loan from one of the big blue chip companies. So that's something that we need to bring together. Business competitiveness is another area that we're working on, which includes looking at the high cost of energy. Our experience in funding MSME investment is that while there's an available pool of funds, Jamaica has no shortage of cash. There's money sitting in institutions all over the place. Low-cost financing, interest rates have come down significantly, but there's still a challenge accessing that funding. What we found is that market conditions, the government paper is now a lot less attractive. We find that banks are moving more and more into business lending, and they have to in order to sustain their business. Capacity building is critical all across the board, from training of SMEs, training of the banks themselves in the understanding of SME loans. Credit and legislative enhancements. There are a number of legislative enhancements, such as the credit bureaus, which will make it easier for your information as a business person to be accessed by the bank, so they don't have to go through tons of paper, but they can access it by the click of a button. Technology at work, more productive. The secured interest in personal property legislation was recently passed. That will give the banks an opportunity, or that will set the framework for taking less tangible collateral as against requiring strictly land and building. And we found that combining these things generates results. How does the DBJ promote MSME investment? And I've put a little animation here to wake everybody up after lunch, but we do a lot of public education and training, workshops with banks, financiers, businesses, entrepreneurs, business service providers, or business development organizations, as they're also called, and we serve on various committees. Just highlighting a couple of these quickly. The Jamaica Business Development Center, we work very closely with them, providing training and technical assistance. This includes for craft producers, spa and wellness producers, various small businesses who need technical support. We've also worked with them in getting energy auditors in place who are able to provide support to micro and small businesses. So if you have a micro or small business and you need an energy audit done, you can also go to the JBDC. They'll be able to provide that for you. Through the ILE and the MSME Alliance and the B program, we've provided training for over 500 micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises over the last few years. We also work with JAMPRO, preparing SMEs for export under the Export Max project. Some more innovative things, but we're also learning, we're also developing. So we found a number of more innovative ways to improve access to credit. Mobile money for microfinance. We have a pilot project which is ongoing to reduce the cost of transactions for micro entrepreneurs. Now, a big part of the cost of loans is in fact administration, and particularly at the micro level. Whereas you'd have to go to the institution, you'll have to go through the processing of the documents, you'll have to get a check done, you'll have to collect that check and go to your bank and cash it, then you'll have to take that check and go back. You'll have to pay when you're repaying your loan. Mobile money will eliminate several of those steps. Therefore, from your gas that you have to spend traveling from one point to another, the paper check that is done, mobile money provides a platform. And again, to use our substantial mobile penetration, our cell phone penetration, everybody has one. Let's use it more productively. That's an option for us to look at. We work with the Jamaica Manufacturers Association and CARICRIS, as well as ILE and Scotiabank, on various programs to improve the assessment of small and medium-sized businesses, to really create templates for evaluation where a business can get a credit score. You look at the risk profile, you can define certain groups. It makes it a lot easier, a lot quicker, and reduces the cost. As Prof. Ying said, the venture capital program is there for the development of the ecosystem, where financial institutions, attorneys at law, they'll be trained, you'll understand the needs of venture capital, how venture capital works. And small businesses would also understand how they need to be prepared to access that funding. Quickly, on DBJ's funding. DBJ provides financing in Jamaican dollars at 8% to 9.5%. 8% is the rate we do for energy loans. So you can get an energy loan up to 30 million at 8%. Our regular SME loans are at 9.5%. And in US dollars, we're currently lending at 7.5% for up to 10 years. We primarily lend through our network of approved financial institutions. There are 13 such institutions, including all commercial banks, the National People's Cooperative Bank, Exim Bank, JMMB, to name a few, credit unions as well. We lend up to 90% of the project costs for micro and small enterprises, 70% for large enterprises, and essentially to viable projects in all sectors. We do some co-financing on larger projects with our commercial banking partners. And as I mentioned earlier, we do some direct funding for ICT, BPO, where we have a $20 million US line for the creation of space. All right, this is the list of our financial institutions. As I mentioned, we have 9 microfinance institutions that we provide funding through, 13 approved financial institutions. The loan application process, I won't go through in the interest of time. Wrap-up signal. Some things I want to mention quickly. Our credit enhancement facility, again based on the challenges of collateral for small and medium-sized businesses to access credit, we created a $250 million pool of funding by which we provide guarantees of up to 10 million Jamaican dollars to provide up to 50% coverage on general SME loans. However, we provide up to 80% on energy loans given to encourage the banks to take the equipment as collateral. To date, we've done 213 million in guarantees, allowing 129 borrowers to access 389 million in loans. Energy is another area which I mentioned, so I'll just cut through this quickly, but our experience again has been, despite the high cost of energy, the low cost of financing, the declining cost of renewable energy technology, there's still inertia. Capacity building, public education, credit enhancements, and incentives is what has driven results. In that regard, we've done 1.4 billion in energy loans in the last 3 years. We're aligned to the government of Jamaica's 2030 vision to reduce the dependence on fossil fuels. We have various lines of credit that we lend on, but the bottom line is you can get a loan at 8% for up to 10 years for renewable energy, energy efficiency, and other projects. Some demonstration projects that we did with the support of the IDB have shown significant results. And this is something that we want persons to understand, that you can save significant amounts from implementing renewable energy and energy efficiency in your business. We did 7 projects in 4 sectors. Of those, we have total expected savings per year of 13 million, average payback of 5 years. Some of the projects, such as this one here, which is Pioneer Meat Products, the expected payback is half a year, based on the things that were implemented. What we encourage persons to do as well is to get an energy audit done. And in that regard, we've worked with the University of Technology and the Jamaica Society of Energy Engineers to develop a curriculum under which about 30-something energy auditors have now been certified, who can go into your business, assess your needs, make recommendations that can be implemented. You can take that to the bank, and the bank will finance your project. So in a nutshell, on the energy topic, we have, how much time do I have? 1 minute. We have energy loans available at 8%, up to 10 years. We provide grants of up to $200,000 to offset the cost of energy audits. And we have the Credit Enhancement Fund that provides guarantees of up to 80% to a maximum of 10 million Jamaican dollars for your energy projects. Energy financing results, that has been phenomenal. In the last financial year, we did 657 million for 71 projects. That was a 227% increase over the prior year. And in the last 12 months, in a nutshell, we've done close to $1 billion to 135 projects. Mobile money, I mentioned earlier, the benefits of that, you can apply for a loan, receive loans, make loan payments, check your account balance, transfer funds, make payments for goods and services, all using your mobile phone. That's what it's intended to do. So it's a pilot project to dramatically reduce the cost of transactions. New product I just want to mention quickly, our technical assistance voucher. We have a voucher program which is intended to increase SMEs' access to credit, their access to business development services, and develop a business service providers market. All the accountants, all the attorneys, to pull them together so they can support small businesses. Essentially, small businesses would get a voucher. You can take, you go to your bank and you need funding, but there's a challenge because you're not ready. The bank then refers you to DBJ, where you go to DBJ, you're assessed, you get a voucher for one of the business services, whether it's a business plans to be developed, whether it's your accounting to be done. We'll fund up to 70% of the cost of that service and refer you to a business service provider. You'll be able to take that back to the bank when you're fully prepared to access a loan. One last thing I'll mention is we're having an SME consultation on the 13th of November, where we'll be meeting with the stakeholders in the SME sector to just get from them all the ideas, where we can improve, and pulling it all together. Ladies and gentlemen,